Hey there everybody, Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This video is your latest discussion on all things The Bachelor. We are talking in this video more so about things related to Peter Weber's season as opposed to The Bachelorette, which we talked about yesterday, because here we're going to break down some of what to expect at the Women Tell All, thanks to ABC, plus an interesting quote Peter gave about Madison and whether or not her telling him sooner about her expectations would have changed things for the two of them. But then also, Senior Citizen Bachelor, or I don't know exactly what we're supposed to call it, but it's being cast. What do we make of that? Before we talk about any of this, though, if you do like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates we've got coming up. All right, let's start, though, with the Peter Madison conversation.
Yeah.
We've been down this road for about the past week and a half.
Yeah, we have, and it seems like Bachelor Nation's really divided on it.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me about it is I feel like a lot of people are supportive of what Madison believes, but I feel like the conflict sort of comes into, number one, was she clear about what she initially said to him? And then number two, should she have said something about it sooner? And Peter himself has sort of chimed in about this.
Yeah.
And this is what he said to People magazine. I would have loved to have that conversation a little bit sooner, not leading into the week of fantasy suites, but I also don't fault her at all for what she told me because I was very clear with all of the women from the very first night to please share whatever is on your heart.
Yeah. I have been of the sort of the same feeling that Peter is having, which is, she didn't need to go out on their first date and be like, by the way,
yeah,
we've just met, but let me put this really, important, heavy thing that's, we're just so early on.
Yeah.
I've seen some people saying that she should have been honest, like straight from the get-go about it and just clear about who she is. I don't agree. Nobody goes in on their first date and puts on their most heaviest stuff on somebody. You got to get to know somebody before you want to share that stuff.
Yeah.
However, right before Fantasy Suites is too late. There should have been somewhere kind of in the middle. They've had their one-on-one. They're getting together. I almost feel like that moment that they were sort of on the stairs and everybody was fighting inside the house.
Yeah.
That could have been a moment. I understand people were fighting. They were just like, what's going on?
I know.
Man? But they had a moment there that she could have said something, listen, I don't know if we're going to get as far as this, but there is something you need to know about me. And then at least let them know that faith is really important to her and that that's a deal breaker for her and that she's saving herself for marriage. That way, when they do get closer to Fantasy Suites and she's still there, because I don't think that was going to change anything, then she could have said, listen, this is also a deal breaker for me. I let you know a couple weeks ago that this is where I stand on this stuff for myself. Now that we're here, I am not cool with you being with anyone else. For me, I feel that she was not clear in that conversation. I've said this in many videos. I will continue to say it. I think he asked her straight out a few times, if I do A, will you do B? And she never said, yes, I'm going to leave if you are with any of the women. She was like, I don't think I'll be okay with it. I just don't know if I'll get over it. That's not clear enough.
I think if they had had this conversation earlier, it would have just alleviated a lot of the confusion. And I think that's the biggest word to come out of this, the confusion that was created by this situation. Because, Peter was still processing, I think, a lot of what she told him. So I don't think he was in a place to fully understand exactly what she was saying. I mean, maybe he could have picked up on it more. Maybe he didn't want to pick up on it more. I don't really know. But it would have given him a better opportunity had he known prior to all of this how exactly she felt. Because it would have basically given them options, right? Because if he was really, really into Madison and Madison was his person who he wanted to get engaged to at the end of all this, he would have known going into Fantasy Suites long beforehand that this might have been where she stood and they could have had more conversations about it and he could have been more prepared or respectful. And I feel like the production of the show would have allowed for that. They're not going to make him go and have fantasy suites with other people if he doesn't want to do that.
No, he could have made other decisions, and I think that the main piece of information that she left out and didn't have a chance to tell him beforehand about saving herself for marriage would have painted a way bigger picture for him. And I think I'm not saying he would have not made the same decisions that he made.
Yeah.
He may have still made the same
it's
decisions.
hard to know.
But he couldn't have made another decision without that information, because it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear to me, and clearly it wasn't clear to him.
Yeah.
Enough for him to know that this is absolutely a deal breaker, and that she was saving herself for marriage, and that he couldn't have been with any of the other women if they wanted to move forward.
It clearly would have been more clear cut, obviously, just because if it's like we've been talking about, if they had a conversation long in advance, then Peter still does what he did. Then Madison can feel more like it is, okay, he's really blatantly ignoring what I've said. I really do want to leave. That makes full sense. There's no confusion there at all. Or maybe Madison is the one for Peter, and then Peter will know in advance, and then he will make sure that she's taken care of.
Yeah, I think it just also because it is so close to the fantasy suites, like what Peter was saying.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's like it's the week of the fantasy suites. Like, why right now? It puts extra pressure on Peter to quickly make a decision when the process isn't over yet.
No.
And so I don't think that this was anything that was premeditated by Madison to be like, oh, I'm going to tell him right before Fantasy Suite, I'm going to put this extra pressure on him where he panics and he, just doesn't do anything or anything like that. I don't get that feeling from Madison. I don't think she did that.
No.
I just think that she was probably pretty nervous to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because going into this season, we all know where Peter is when it comes to being with people and intimacy. You know where he stands. So for then you got Madison. We don't know exactly where she stands until we get to this point. But she did. So she may have been really scared to say something.
And I get it. The shadow of the windmill looms very, very large over everything related to Pilot Pete. But let's move to the Women Tell All, the special that's probably not as exciting this year as it's been in the past, because not the greatest crop of women that The Bachelor has ever found. We do know a few different things, though, according to the synopsis that that's been released for this.
Yep.
Including that Kelsey, she's going to have some time in the spotlight, which we kind of figured it's probably going to be her Bachelorette audition.
Yep.
I don't know if she's going to be picked. I mean, we've already talked a lot about the Bachelorette, but, they're going to give her an opportunity to kind of state her case.
Yeah, and I think that she's not a bad pick. So I think having her have a little bit of spotlight, putting the feelers out there, are people really feeling Kelsey or not after that, they can make a better decision. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. The biggest reason I think this is going to be a Women Tell All that they're kind of trying to veer away from the women on this season is they apparently have a lot of Bachelor Nation cameos that are coming in throughout. Ashley I is going to be there to give champagne, I'm guessing, to Kelsey for some reason.
Probably.
I mean, we're going to have Rachel Lindsay's there to sort of lead this segment, apparently, about cyberbullying, which, it is a thing in Bachelor Nation. It happens to people all the time. You put yourself out there. I mean, we have certainly dealt with it on the channel before.
It's everywhere. Yeah. The YouTube comments, man, they can go sideways.
I have heard every joke about my eyes possible. It is all out there. But I mean,
that's the nicer trolling comments.
Yeah, those are the nicer ones. But the truth of it is, I would love it if this actually does help some people to realize that this is bad. I mean, I worry that there's a certain degree of, most people already know not to treat people terribly on social media. I mean, is it going to stop anyone? I just unfortunately don't know. But it's a part of the special. There's going to be a preview for The Bachelor Presents Listen to Your Heart.
Woo!
For everyone who thinks that show watch that show be really good, and we have been sitting here making fun of it for the past month, and it actually is not terrible.
Yeah, I think it's just there's so many singing shows. I mean, we're covering a million of them right now that it's kind of like, do we need another singing show? But we'll see what it. I'm gonna reserve my judgment. We'll see how it plays out.
I'm pretty sure there was a preview of somebody smashing a guitar at some point, so I'm pretty in on that. If you give me that level of drama, maybe this is not going to be the same talent competition that we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that on Idol this season.
That is going to be the Bachelor Listen to Your Heart's version of the fence jump that they'll probably play at every possibility.
Yep.
Okay, so finally, let's talk about the story that's out there. They're casting a show that might be The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, or Paradise. I don't know the format, but for senior citizens, they're looking for older contestants. I know there's been people who've talked about this for a long time, that it would be fun. I think it could be fun. It's all gonna depend on the cast and the format. Is this gimmicky? And it's one thing to exploit, like, you know, some 24-year-old dude bro who's just being an idiot, but it's like, don't manipulate like the sweet old lady with your production nonsense.
I am all in on this show.
Okay, I am like half in.
And I'll tell you why. We never get to have sort of a peek behind the curtain of anyone that's even close to being senior citizens on TV. In general, we just don't get it anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of it, it's sort of like there's this taboo of when you're a senior citizen that you never get to talk about a romance or what's going on behind closed doors. And we never really get to see any of that. It's like you become a senior citizen and then like it all just kind of ends. And we know that's not true. So I'm really curious to see sort of what dating looks like in your older years and your golden years and what it's all about. I am really interested in this show. I'm way more interested in than Sing for Your Date.
Well, okay, you comparing this to Listen to Your Heart is basically like, okay, let's compare.
I'm never going to get the name of the show.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's different every time.
You know, that's like comparing like a gourmet pizza from Italy to like, I don't know, the local pizza chain down the street. I mean, it's going to be better than it probably. It probably won't be as train wrecky.
No, I don't think it's going to be as train wrecky.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be fascinating because we never get to see people of this age being on TV in general, and we definitely don't get to see what it's like dating at that age. I think it's going to be fascinating.
I think it'll be fascinating for an episode. I am in on it for an episode. I don't know after that because I don't want to watch older people get heartbroken. I'm just gonna feel really bad after the fact. So
well, maybe it's not gonna be like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more about them finding love and what love is like at that age, and even if it's any different.
Yeah,
and that's yeah, it's fascinating to me because you never get to see any of that. You never get to hear about any of that. It's kind of like, oh, you're older. We're not going to see. We don't think about that. And now here it is. I can't wait.
Well, we'll see if it happens. I don't even know what's going on. I know they're casting it. It probably will happen.
Bring it to me.
Well, yeah, we will be here watching intently for the one episode, and she might be watching longer than I am. It depends on how it ends up going.
It depends on the cast. All of these shows really just depend on the cast.
All right. Well, of course, we want to hear your thoughts on this potential show. Peter, Madison, the women tell all of it in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.